ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to World of Tanks with Union 237. And today I'm going to be doing a tank review on the Tier 9 Polish medium tank, the CS-59. My opinion, a very, very good tank. I really enjoyed playing it whilst grinding the Polish mediums. I think in terms of all the other mediums I've played at Tier 9, I'd probably say it's one of the best. And of all the ones that I haven't played, it's probably best in class. As we're going to compare them now, we're going to be comparing against the British Centurion 7.1, the Germany 50, the American M46 Pattern, the Japanese Type 61, and the Swedish UDES 16. I'm picking these tanks because they have the same or similar playstyle as to what the CS-59 has. Disclaimer at the moment, the Centurion 7.1 and E50 are both using their 105mm guns. The Centurion is probably best using the 105mm for the extra penetration. The 20-pounder that it can use has better DPM. The 50's 88mm has better DPM, also has less penetration, but once again that depends on how you play. There are more advantages and disadvantages to those guns, but that's not about those tanks. So let's get into it, and straight away the CS-59 has the best DPM. It's incredible, 2700 at Tier 9. If you go down this, the Centurion has 2100, which is the worst. So straight away this thing's off to a great start. Alpha damage is 390, standard for a 105mm. Penetration 252 of its standard rounds, fantastic penetration. Not as good as the Centurion 7.1, but that does fire APCR as standard. This thing fires AP. Shell velocity, pretty mediocre. Then again, that is its AP standard round for you. It fires heat as premium with 320mm of penetration, I believe. So very good heat rounds for Tier 9. Gun handling is pretty bad. It's not incredibly bad. Its dispersion values are okay. Its aiming time is okay. It can be improved, but don't expect to be snapshotting in this tank. It's one of the issues that I had with it. Its gun was highly inaccurate and rather annoying to play. 9 degrees of gun depression, very nice at this tier. Better than the 50, but not as good as the Centurion and the Pattern. Speed-wise, pretty standard. 50 kilometers an hour. That's sort of standard across the board, aside from the E50. Pretty poor power to weight ratio though, so I'd recommend using a turbocharger on this tank. Let's be real, I'd recommend using a turbocharger on pretty much every single tank. I've said this many times now, I think the view range is overrated since Equipment 2.0 came in and it gave us the turbo. But then again, different people have different opinions on that. Armor wise, it's got pretty much nothing. You may occasionally bounce lower caliber guns, but don't rely on the armor. I'd say you're not a Centurion, but then again, the Centurion doesn't have fantastic armor. The E50's got great armor. It's not on the levels of the E50. I mean, the CS-59 and the Type 61 play very similar. Arguably, it plays similar to the Centurion as well, because you don't really want to be exposing your turret too much, because there are places that can pen the Centurion that basically the CS-59 can get penned anywhere. Hit points, it's actually got the highest, so I guess that's some compensation. You've got 1800 at Tier 9 for a medium, which is very nice. It'd be a relatively decent amount for a Tier 10 medium, let alone on a Tier 9. Camo, not really relevant, but it's pretty decent. View range, probably it's actually one of the lowest. 390 meters view range on a Tier 9 is pretty poor. But then again, like I said, if you've got good crew skills, put vents in instead of optics, and you'll have close to the full view range of 445 meters. Shells pretty expensive. That's kind of it, really. I mean, it's just a good all-round tank, and I'm going to hope to showcase that in the 4 replays that we've got coming up, because I didn't want to choose between any of them. That'd be like choosing between children, I assume. If we're going to have a look at the armor layout here, you can see it's It's a pretty interesting looking tank. From the front at least, the turret looks like it should bounce a lot of stuff if you look at the visual model. It looks like it should be well armoured, like you'd expect a Russian tank to be, but if we actually look at the live model, you can see here, it's basically got no armour. There are occasional bits, like this purple area here is basically automatic ricochet, so if you're moving backwards and forwards, it can pen you, but then again, your hull is quite big, you can't exactly side scrape this because they just shoot this or shoot your turret. If you're using your 9 degrees of gun depression, however, your front plate does become 235, so it's pretty decent, but again, it's your turret, is your main weakness here. But anyway, with that bit of the tank review out of the way, let's see how this thing performs on the battlefield. So here we are loading to our first game on El Haluf. Very favourable matchup here, pretty decent map as well. Also play second, use my gun depression. I'm going to turn the sound out, I don't know how loud it's going to be. So you might be able to hear me, you might not be able to hear me. Hopefully it's okay. So yeah, favourable matchup, we've got 3 tier 9, 4 tier 9s in each team, one of them being artillery. And then a bunch of tier 7s. And this matchup wise, I quite like it. The M103 I'm not massively worried about. If we have a look, he is a stock M103. The CS-59 on the enemy team is also stock. Don't know about the T30, but you know, T30 as we, you know, well, let's just ignore that piece of driving there. T30 is not really a big concern for me at the moment. As you can see, I'm just messing around with the gun at this point. I think this was the day I actually started using a different mod pack to help with campaign, campaign and clan wars stuff. Just because it helps a lot more than the original mod pack having a health bar for the entire team. Because we're going to set up here in the usual position at C2, just overwatching the valley. I don't really want to push into it, I don't have the turret armor to do this. So we're going to take pot shots as we put a shot into CS-59. I will admit, this tank, despite what I've said, it can't snapshot. For some reason I seem to get quite lucky, and I don't know whether it's because I've stopped using a ridiculous sensitivity on my mouse, or whether because I was just getting good RNG, but it seems relatively okay. Is that CS-59 makes a good trade there. No, that was a very good idea from him. So we've already taken out one of their tier 8s, we're 2 kills up now at this point. Their T30 is... well, I'm definitely not worried about the T30 now, that's for sure. He's just drifting in front of everyone. We're going to reload with fantastic DPM and pick up a kill. We're already about just over 2 minutes into this game and we're up to well, 6 kills ahead with 5000 HP ahead now, up to 1500 damage. We're going to put a shot into this 1357 because, you know, a free shot is always welcome. Now, because we've eliminated the majority of tanks up on that ridge, and we've got a WZ-11114 coming, we're going to progress up this fight here. I'm going to put some pressure on this 50 TP. Unfortunately we'll ricochet our first shot because I'm really good at this game. Good DPM, put another shot in, we actually track him. I was kind of hoping he would do damage at the same time, but unfortunately I don't really understand how the 50 TP's armor works out because I really don't see much of them nowadays. But we could get a good bit of tracking there, up to 2000 damage, 1400 tracking, and this game's won at this point. I'm going around this way because I want to extend the angle of engagement upon these heavy tanks. And plus, you know, Black Prince is basically a free kill at this point. I decided to shoot the CS-59, not to expose myself to the Black Prince, even though he wouldn't shoot it, it wasn't aiming at me, but just good play there. Shoot the Black Prince through the tracks, he's able to penetrate our front, but we've got the DPM over him. It's late game, you know, look at the HP difference. So I can trade with this guy. Unfortunately we don't pen a shot. I see I'm aiming for the top of his tracks. That little hole there, that will track him and damage him at the same time. We have an IS-22 coming. Well, I'm not massively worried about him. I decided to put a shot into the IS-22. He double shots us. So we lose a big chunk of hit points, but luckily we've got a Scorpion helping us here. We've put a shot into the IS-2. And we're now to 4000 damage nearly. Let's get 2 more ramming damage for that. Hopefully we can put a shot into this IS-6, put us with 4k. Unfortunately he dies just before we're able to bring the gun to bear. I was 4 minutes of about 3 minutes of combat too, and we did 4,000 damage, 1,500 spotting. We got the high caliber medal. Wasn't really tested in this game. This was more just showcasing why this tank is fantastic at tier 9 because of its DPM, and it's quite a flexible tank. So we're going to progress to a different game now, where I might have to try a little bit harder to get a good result. So here we are loading up for our second game, another tier 9 game on Berlin. This time it's not the best matchup. We've got about half the team at tier 9s, half the team at tier 8s, but hopefully we're going to be able to dominate this game. Straight off, I am going to go to the central bunker on Berlin. I do this quite often in my medium tanks. I feel like this is probably the best position on the map. It gives you so much map control and allows your team to have to impose map denial, should I say, upon the enemy. At some point, probably when I go back to uni, so maybe next year, I'll start doing map reviews, and I'll go through all of them. I'm going to tier them, say which ones are okay and which ones are bad. There's no great maps in the game. I say this is probably one of the better maps, but anyway. So we just progress into that position quickly. We spot an IS-6, but luckily we don't get spotted ourselves. I must say I'm running a good crew. I think it's like 3 or 4 skills at this point. This has definitely made the Polish grind a lot easier, but we managed to take the bunker for free, which is always a bonus. We do get spotted. I assume it's probably something at J or H3 set in the bushes. This position isn't completely invulnerable, as this T-44-100 to my right rather, is finding out. Can be exposed to fire. Like if I poke out, if I want to shoot the middle part, like the direct centre, the 5-6 line, I have to expose myself to enemy fires. So this T-44-100 isn't at all accustomed to using this side of the map. As you can see, he's lost quite a bit of HP there. Our team's losing quite a bit of HP, already 2,000 down at the start of this game, so we're going to have to carry pretty hard to bring this one back. I was wrong in my tank review, as we're looking for a shot in the IS-6. This tank does not fire heated standard, it fires APCR standard. It's a different tank. It's a fantastic penetration on skill, and that's going through the side of the IS-6 turret. We got 439 damage on him. Now we're looking for a shot on his upper plate. We fire one, unfortunately it doesn't go through. Trying to wiggle a little bit just so he misses his shot, and he doesn't actually bounce his shot. I believe that was off the gun manlet. The gun manlet is a pretty troll place. Shots can be bounced off there, as we put another round to the IS-6. This point we're just holding this position, working our damage. We're actually reloading our APCR rounds at this point. These rounds have 293mm penetration, so it's getting the premium penetration from when I was looking at this. This just helps go through as we spot an enemy 50 TP. Put a shot to the side of his turret there. Best place to shoot him at the front angle like that. Now we're looking for a shot on his lower plate. Put another shot in. We've already put 2 shots into him. The tank has got great DPM. It's incredible as the 50 TP shoots the T-44-100. So we're going to poke out. We're going to hopefully put a shot into him. And we do. I think that goes through the side of his tank. Fantastic penetration, allowing us to pick up the kill there with relative ease. And our team is fighting back at this point. It's 1 kill apiece. They've lost the tier 9 heavy over our tier 8 heavy. HP is about similar. Hopefully we can put a shot into this IS-6 and even HP. Unfortunately, the poor accuracy dips the shell into the building in front of him. Poke out to put a shot to him. He puts a shot into us. Hopefully we can get our revenge and put one into him. Once again, the shell misses. So I decided at this point, I'm going to stop firing APCR. I'm going to stop trading with this guy for a while. Try and focus my attention somewhere else. Luckily for us, our team is taking the initiative. On the south side of the map, our Baraska's moved up to become the pseudo light tank on the team. I believe I've given it enough time now against that IS-6, but I don't poke out because I think there's a lurper to shoot at. It turns out that I get spotted, so I decide to shoot on the server, try and find a shot. He comes out of cover, hopefully he comes out a little bit more. We hold the shell there, just I'm not expecting this gun to hit. And we're going to wait a bit. Hopefully look for a shot on this IS-6. This IS-6 is distracted because we waited long enough. Put a shot straight through the side of his turret there. reducing the IS-6 down to a one-shot, and giving our team the HP advantage for the first time in this match. Now we're looking for a shot on the G-Saw. We fire one blind. I don't think that one hit. It looks to dip quite deep into the ground there. Now we back up, get a better angle, potentially trying to shoot the Barask, trying to work an angle on the guard. Barask is out in the open. We put a shot into him, but we track him. This tank does have very good shell velocity, 1050 meters a second. So it's very good for sniping things at long range, especially the wheeled light tanks. And at this point, I'm debating whether we should move up. The game is still pretty close. We are 2 guns up, but the HP is pretty much even as one of our tanks is set on fire, so he's losing a substantial amount of HP rather quickly. Trying to find a shot. The E-75 comes up. Unfortunately there, we aren't able to hit the shot. A shell hitting the building again. That building's going to be completely destroyed by the time we finish this game. The amount of shells we put into it. That was a pretty crucial shot though to put on the E-75. That tank is still there on full HP and it's a very powerful machine. Luckily our team is slowly gaining map control from the enemy, so hopefully we should be able to pick this one up. As I'm just waiting. I don't want to pressure all too much as I see an enemy Lorraine 40 ton pushing towards where our Barask is, see if we can maybe spot him. So I decided at this point I'm going to try and pressure the south a bit more. I realise there's no shots on the heavy, so we're going to aim for shots on the main. Poor shot by me there. I was expecting him to come forward a bit more, but luckily it doesn't affect us all too much as our fantastic reload allows us to push another shot in. Reducing the Lorraine to a one shot, he gets a panics, he drives up and he gets killed by a T-30. So I see that the majority of the tanks over there are pretty weak. We're now currently 4,000 head on HP, so I decided to push the tempo a bit more, put a shot into the guard. I do get spotted, so I pull back that guard, puts a fantastic snapshot into us there, probably screaming Russia as he fired that shell. Looking for another shot on the E-75. Put a fantastic shell in there. I think that's it's a bit of karma coming back from when we missed the broadside of his turret. Trying to find a shot on his guard. We put one in, but unfortunately ricochets off his turret. Now at this point I'm just going to try and push forward a little bit more, trying to find another shot on this Barask. Unfortunately it misses, but luckily our artillery picks up the kill. The E-75 is pressuring our T-69 there. T-69 looks to be on reload, so we'll just go in a shot. Save our T-69 friend. And now we're going to push this Barask. Barask gets into cover behind one of the Parliament buildings there in Berlin. I don't know what that one's called. I know that the Reichstag is behind us over there. I'll bring some bearings of Call of Duty World at War staying on top of that building. Hopefully going to be able to kill this Barask. This Barask can't clip us. The G-Saw I'm not overly worried about because he looks to be pinned in one position. Their artillery could put a shot in, but hopefully it's focusing on something else. Speaking of the artillery spotter, we go around the corner, we find the Barask. We fire on the move there, and we put a shot in. He realises I'm behind him, so we pull to the side. Fortunately he puts a shot into us. We hit his tracks for our second shot. He bounces his second shot, so I'll say we're pretty equal. And we're just going to reload, make sure the shell hits. And there we go. And I don't think we're actually going to get the G-Saw in time. We're going to speed up the replay here. But overall, 4,000 damage, 500 spotting. I'd say if I wasn't in that position, the game would have gone pretty differently. As the Barask actually come... Oh, that's the wrong button. We do actually manage to pick up the kill on the G-Saw. Actually, I forgot that he came out, so 4,300 damage and 500 spotting. A pretty decent game. I feel like I was heavily influential in this one, taking that central position and utilising it very well. Yeah, just shows that this tank is really good. DPM wise, I think that's its main asset really. You can't really rely on its ammo, although we did bounce 750 damage, but it's not still something to write home about really. Let's move on now to the third game, which I believe... You know what, I actually don't know what map is on, I can't remember, let's find out. So it turns out the next map was Mines. It's a tier 9 and tier 8 game. Probably one of the best maps for this tank. It's relatively quick, it can take the hill. The enemy has an object 430, so we should make it to the hill at the same time. Although saying that, I was a bit slow to get going off the start, and we do have the slower side, but let's hope. I'm going to go to the hill, I'm going to try for it. I'm going to be aggressive. If I have to trade some hit points, I'll trade some hit points. Ironically, I call this game Mines Domination. I know, ew, cringe. In my replay folder. Turns out the game after this is going to be even more of a domination, but anyway. Luckily for us, the 430 doesn't go to the hill. He sits back there, but their standard B actually takes the little cubby hole. Fortunately for us, he isn't fully upgraded. He's only using the 90mm, so I'd say that was a pretty good trade. We take the most important position on the map. We pick up a kill on their LT, and now we're going to violate the CBIs. He actually dukes us down, fair play to him. But we should kill him here. I believe well, actually no, he's gonna jump off the hill and not take any damage because wheeled light tanks are balanced. Yeah, remember that word wargaming. Balanced, it's incredible. I actually managed to pick up a kill on him there, sort of rocking our tank backwards and forwards, but to give ourselves an extra degree of gun depression or so. They're called suspension shots. This isn't an actual feature, this thing shots 9 degrees, but if you pivot the tank backwards and forwards, it gives you more gun depression. Just trying to find a shot in this Rheinmetall Borsig. We find it, and now this is very important here, is to use this little pillar here. This pillar is your best friend on the hill, as there's rocks on the other side of like the little Abbey Monastery thing are. This Hawk 12 or HWK 12 isn't going to use that position, and he's going to die to the SU-130. Basically what this thing here does is it stops any of the tank destroyers sat on this hill behind. This will pick up a kill on the Tiger 2 there. Whilst these guys below us can proxy spot us, they can't shoot us. So basically we hold the dominant position. You see, I could take a shot from the SU-130, he's sat back here, so I adjust my angle to still shoot these guys. And now we're basically safe. There's no artillery. The only thing I've got to watch out for is the three tank destroyers that are on the other side of the map. It's an interesting position for them. It definitely counters this, but luckily they are being put under pressure visually, at least. So we're going to try and find some shots on using little bits of rocks to get the gun. Unfortunately, we missed a shell on the G-saw there. But yeah, we're basically, this is just going to be a farming fest at this point, so we're trying to find a shot on the Type 4 Heavy. Unfortunately, we can't find one. He fires, that gives us an opportunity to overexpose ourselves and put a shot into him. This is just Ridgeline Work 101, put a shot into the back of the T-34's turret. It actually bounces off the back of his turret, but luckily the Egg Tiger picks up the kill. And now because I hold this position, these heavy tanks can't work the corner as effectively as they want to. This gives our team map control, this pushes them into a corner, and basically at that point it's GG unless the tank on the hill dies. We put a shot into the Egg Tiger there. We're 3000 HP up with 4 kills, so we just need to push the tempo a bit more on this side. We pick up a kill on the, actually no, we track the T-30 so the Egg Tiger kills him. The Type 4 Heavy has decided he's had enough of my shenanigans, he's decided to go around and fight the Tiger 2. We take a shot from the G-saw. G-saw's out 2 rounds now, we're up to nearly 4000 damage in 4 minutes of gameplay. I'm worried about that G-saw. I go unspotted a while, I sort of either pressure him into a reload or make him get bored, and now we just get to farm this 430 in the arse for free really. That Scorpion's not using the right position there, he's getting shot by the Borsig in base. G-saw gets spotted again, but I don't have any effective shells on him. There's actually the T-30's giving him a nice bit of cover from us. Still trying to feather a shot, maybe we'll make one. I should probably turn my attention to the 430 a bit quicker here, so we see an enemy Yak Tiger get spotted in base. Interesting position for that Yak Tiger. Didn't really use his tank all too effectively, could have maybe made a bit more of an impact in this game as the SU-130 gets spotted. We get the high caliber medal. Now we've got to stay on top of damage, which I don't think is going to be an issue as we're nearly at 5000 damage now. Enemy Scorpion gets spotted, that shuns him, puts us above 5000. And these bushes, they actually work, so as long as the enemy team is spotting, as our team is spotted, we can pick up a load of damage from them. Because now we're going to try and slink our way down this slope. See, I'm being cautious here. Go sideways, and we managed to slip down relatively well. See if we can go and pick up a shell on this Yak Tiger. Push ourselves to get a bit more damage. but he goes on to the other side and we've got a load of tanks there, and this IS-22 is going to get there first, so I don't think we'll be able to push onto him. It's the IS-22, yeah, we don't get to push shell into the Jagdtiger. But still, 5,000 damage, we get the high caliber medal. I'm very happy with how I played this game. Once again, I feel like I was not as important in this game. If you look at scores, it's 15-3, we still have 10,000 health between us. But I think that if I hadn't have gone hill, I'd have had a pretty boring game. I wouldn't have done as well as I'd done. The enemy team didn't really take hill, so I feel like the outcome would have been the same. Although saying that, we did lose our RU-251 on the hill, so maybe it could have been different, maybe not. But I took the important position, I secured the win. I secured the important position rather, which allows the entire team to secure the win. So let's move on to our final replay, which will be my best game in the CS-59, and it'll be on Serene Coast. So here we are loading into the final game of this CS-59 tank review. It's a tier 10 and tier 9 game on Serene Coast. We have got, I personally feel, the better spawn. The north spawn has a lot better defensive positions. And we're going to take this tank straight to C1. I feel like this is probably the most important position. If I wasn't in a tank that didn't have gun depression, I would go fight on the peninsula down to the southeast. But because I've got gun depression, I'll go fight up there. In terms of the teams, I'd say they're pretty equal. Both have got E100s, both of us have got underpowered tier 10 mediums, both have got an EVR, both have got pretty okay tier 10 light tanks to go along with the EVR. So I feel like the tier 9s are going to make or break this situation, so we've got to play our role. As you can see, the Standard B and Centurion Action 10 have pretty much reached the hill at the same time we have. So this is just going to be a big old brawl on this hill now, as our Leopard for some reason is deciding to stay put. There is 2 artillery in this game because apparently that's fun for all the family. We do have an IS-32 here, so that's going to be very comforting for me. So our first shell gets put into the Standard B. 395 damage to start the ball rolling. And now we're going to have a round up a shot on this Centurion. Fortunately, we only hit his optics, we don't actually damage the tank. And instantly at this point, we are going to win the C1 fight. Why are we going to win the C1 fight? Well, whilst I'm farming these guys, we hold the ridgeline. Now, basically what you got to do is split this ridgeline in the middle here, pretty much across this line. Basically where the height is. Whoever controls this bit and gets to utilise their gun depression will win, because we're using our gun depression, we're presenting a smaller target to them. You know, if they want to push up, they have to come to us. We can just farm at this point. This isn't a random battles thing. This is a tactic that's used in campaign with clans. You take the ridge, you basically win unless you do something really stupid. I was trying to pick up a kill. The Centurion Action 10 is actually wiggling, probably saying no, but unfortunately the artillery says no to him. Pick up the kill on the Skoda T50 there, already up to 2,000 damage. The GW Tiger is giving us the good news, and now we're going to poke over, apply some pressure on this 430. We're stunned, so he actually has a better reload than me, so probably a misplay for me to stay up here. I'm hoping he'll bounce a shot. We put another shell into his tracks, but luckily for us, we double track him, and now our team's just farming this guy. No, he's dead at this point. We're going to try and put another shell into him. Just knows with one shot, and there we go. There you go. Not even 2 minutes of fighting and we've won the hill. Now we just get to free farm everything else. The HP is still pretty close, but because we control this position now, we can basically just go wherever we want. We're still stunned, unfortunately, because artillery is fun. We managed to put a shell to the side of the E100, so I guess this takes more accurate when it's stunned. This E100, I don't know what he's doing, so we put another round into him. He's basically just allowing us to free farm. And now we're going to push the tempo on the base, try and take out the artillery, reduce the amount of damage they can do over time. We put a shot to the Jagdtiger, we managed to track him at the same time and do damage. And we're up to 4.2k damage. It racks up quickly in this tank if it's allowed to stay alive. So if you come across a fight with someone, kill the CS-59 first, unless you know it, unless it's like a tank that has better DPM than like a tier 10 medium. The honest about to shot from the Jag Tiger there with the larger 128mm gun, so I'm pretty happy with that. We find the enemy G-Saw, the light tank variant, set in a bush, so we push down to him. I back off here because I don't really want to lose any HP to his 20-pounder gun. As he comes over, we put another shell into him. We achieve the high caliber medal, so what we've got to do now is remain top on damage for the rest of this game. So we're trying to find another shell in this G-Saw. Unfortunately, we're a bit slow on the draw there. A bit slow on the saw there. Now that was a terrible joke, I apologise. Now we're just going to go farm some stuff. The EBR-90 is making fun of the Jag Tiger for not having a turret, so we decide to track him. Because the Jag Tiger is actually making a very good play there to push the EBR-90 against the rock, but luckily because we've tracked him and our fantastic DPM allows us to keep this guy tracked. I would have if he had more hit points. Managed to pick up the kill on that guy. We're up to 5,800 damage, trying to feather a shot on this G-Saw. Put a nice shell in there. RNG curving our shell a bit more towards him, and we're up to 6.1k damage now. 1500 spotting as well, D-tracking, just general spotting. We're actually reloading a high explosive around here, because I see an enemy Waffenträger Panzer IV on, I think, dinner. The Allied E100 picks up the kill on the Conqueror. Our IS-32 I think disconnected or just got bored. He's still holding C1, so fair play to him. But yeah, I think this also highlights, I think every game is basically highlighted that this thing's got ridiculous DPM as the Waffenträger Panzer IV gets slapped for 555 damage. And I know the G-Saw's over here, there's nowhere else he could be side a little bush somewhere. He's literally the one right. Oh no, he's drowning himself. Oh yes, of course. The EBR-90 is going to become lifeguard and kill him. But I hope this signifies not only that this tank is just ridiculous in terms of its DPM, as we finished the game with 6,700 damage, 1,500 spotting, that's over 8k combined. But this tank, it can work positions really well because of that DPM, and also with this map, I hope you realise that C1 is the most important position, and you have to hold that ridge. As soon as you give up that ridge, that is it. You might as well just run away and go try and push another flank. But anyway, why don't we take a look at the post-game stats to see how we did in all four of these games. So, first game we had on El Halouf. I've spelt it wrong because I'm good at spelling. I can't spell this map to save my life. 4,000 damage, 1,500 spotting, pretty decent. We made some decent credits, but this is with a premium account. We came top on damage, top on experience. Pretty much not really, about half dominated that game. As you can see, we would have made a profit. Would have made a profit even without the premium account and whatnot. Again, Christmas bonus, being kind to us, getting a load of experience for that. Shells, in terms of accuracy, 13 shots fired, 13 hits, 10 penetrations. A pretty decent result for this tank. Move on to Berlin. Again, you know, this is Christmas, so take this with a pinch of salt. I still would have made decent experience and credits on all of these games, I believe. 156,000 credits, 9,300 experience. We get 1,100 base. We weren't top by a ridiculous amount of damage. The IS-3 doing 3,500, but again, I feel taking that position allowed our team to dominate that game and allowed me to just free farm away pretty much. This one, sort of showing the weakness of the tank in terms of its accuracy. You see 23 shots fired, only 18 hits, but only 13 penetrations. I'd say that's probably more down to some of my shooting and a bit of the accuracy there. But nonetheless, pretty decent game. Moving on to the Mines game now. Basically same, another 9,000 experience, 94,000 credits. We get high caliber, we get Confederate. I believe we've got high caliber in most of these games actually. Yeah, high caliber Confederate in the first one. We don't actually get achievement in the second one because of the damage between the team was pretty close. This one was just a farm fest, 5,000 damage, not top on experience. That goes to the IS-32 who had a fantastic game. Papa Smurf, spelled wrong as well, that's a gamer move that. But I feel if we look at the team, a lot of people not doing a lot of damage, especially our tier 9. I feel like we took the important position, actually allowed our team to pick up the win here, even our team trying to throw. Again, pretty lackluster performance in terms of the gun. That could be a bit down to my shooting. I know I did some poor shots on the Tiger 2 and on the Type 4. But again, making decent experience, making decent credits. And here, best game I've had so far, Confederate, high caliber. Once again, we get an ace tanker, 6,700 damage, 1,500 spotting, making a lovely amount of credits and experience as well. And yeah, we pretty much dominated this game. The C100 played a fantastic game too. And we basically, us two, carry the rest of the team. In my opinion, we get 1,400 base experience, or nearly 1,500. Our gun performing as it should, 21 shots fired, 20 hits, 18 penetrations. And yeah, what do I think of this tank? I really like it. As I said at the start of the video, I think it's a fantastic, well-rounded tank. And it limits you because it's not one of those tanks where it's like, oh, I have good armor, but I actually don't have good armor, such as the 430. I feel like this tank, you know, it doesn't have good armor, and when it does bounce off, it surprises you, and it's a nice surprise. But you've got to rely on other things such as your DPM and your mobility. I feel that forces you to play more cautiously, and you know, I feel that if I was in a Centurion these games, or Type 61, I wouldn't have done as well. Maybe the Type 61 I would have, but I think that thing doesn't really bounce much. So I think of all the Tier 9 mediums I've played, even the premium ones such as the Sharpshooter 4, the T55A, I'd say this thing probably ranks in the top 3 for me. I'd say probably second. T54 is going to be first. The T54 is an insane tank, but this thing is a very close second. It's a great machine, and it's pretty easy to play as well. It's very nice on the player. You make a mistake, you've got a nice chunk of hit points to mitigate your mistake. Just don't make too many of them. So thank you for watching this tank review. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like, share and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what tank you would like me to review next. I'm open to suggestions really. Any tanks that aren't really covered amongst the wargaming, amongst the other tanks, YouTube content. If there isn't one, please let me know, and I'll catch you all for some new videos very soon.